Hi everyone, and thanks for checking out my channel. I'm going to have a look at a few commodities, midweek checking, look what we could get ahead of us for the next coming days, and potential plan going forward. Starting with WTI. So WTI was planning for continuation of the move up, targeting the higher range around potentially the daily 200 MA around just below 44. That's momentum is getting really slow. Still struggling on that trend line on the daily RSI, still pointing to a divergence on that point that could lead to a major correction down to 34, 35. Today we got really negative news in terms of the stockpile in the US, so that's pointing to yes, again, some unbalance in the supply demand, at least for WTI, what that could actually put some more down pressure onto the price. So it's still holding relatively well at the moment, but again, because of that divergence, it will be hard to actually get much higher without any major news. So zooming in slightly, we can see there's quite a compression onto the price we see here. I think it dropped at some point below $1 on the 1 hour chart, which is very not usual. We got that spike out today that could actually point to a double top or even almost triple top on the 1 hour, and of course we having that still having that resistance sitting at 41. So I'm tempted to actually start to build some short position on this to play the daily divergence, because I believe that at some point it could actually break down, especially now the fundamentals are actually not supporting so much, at least for target correction down to 39 for a start, and then we would see where it could go. So yeah, I'll be looking at this, the reaction on this, potentially entering short should we actually see some momentum on the downside, with a stop loss that could set somewhere around 42 should actually the momentum pick up. But at this point I doubt that we actually see major move to the upside, and potentially that scenario where I was expecting getting to 44 might not actually happen. We might get some correction and some resolution for that wedge that we can see here, the rising one on this very soon, and if it's on the downside, the potential down is significant. So yeah, going long I think is risky, could be tempted, but with the data we got today it's probably not wise. Moving to natural gas. Natural gas reacted almost perfectly to the divergence on the 4 hours we got here. So I traded a couple of short position here, but also entered long here. But the issue here is that we're having the 186 capping the move down, and potentially we could be at risk of not going further high should we not have any catalyst for the price moving up. Of course the contract rollover will approach as well, with again the spread setting around 3%, and we're still having that gap at 155. That's no, I'm not comfortable with trading long, so I'm still looking at more downside for this, but of course should we actually break higher, and especially 193, that could be definitely pointing to continuation of the move, and we could see definitely a test higher, going toward the $2 level, which is where the 200 MA is also running. So yes, moving down, the target would be potentially at 160. Yeah, sorry for the background noise, it's got my alarm triggered. It's not mine, so it's probably okay. 154 would be the gap closure, but I think we are not there yet. We would need some momentum to build on the downside, so yeah, that's something definitely to keep an eye on. Moving now on width that I'd been talking about, I think maybe not over the weekend, but recently, where we had that drop here. I think it's probably, no, I think it's quite clear here. Got that major divergence on the 4 hours here, on the drop to 470. and till then we got some significant momentum up, and we broke finally the 200 MA on the 4 hours. So switching now to the daily charts, we can see that candle is quite promising. We'll be struggling of course to pass by 525, but should we build on some momentum, we could expect some testing of the 580. So I'm still holding long on this. I did build a bit lower. I might see how we go to add to that long position. Should we actually confirm the momentum? But that's looking good following today's move. No sign of divergence in that move. The momentum is quite powerful. So we reached very high on the RSI. So we will probably cool off a bit and probably retract to 500 or somewhere there, but before building up again potentially. Now moving to two markets, I'm be looking at shorting, starting with the nickel, with a really nice configuration on this. Looking at the daily chart, I believe it's quite obvious. No, on the 4 hours actually. Just one even more obvious on the one. Yes, that was it. So we're having a nice divergence building up on some struggling move to the top here. So that's the upper end of the channel. Still not 100% sure if that's a channel or rising wedge that will find some resolution at some point. The daily 200 MA, which is very critical, is sitting just above, so it's almost a perfect short entry point here. The momentum is definitely gone, so we need something very special to break that level, which I don't believe we have at the moment. So yes, having running short position that did enter here, I will keep a stop loss a bit higher should the price break the probably 13,700. I can't remember where I did put it, but I think it's relatively safe that we'll see some pullback. I don't expect a major reversal like complete collapse or anything, but at least dropping back to the lower end of the channel for potential continuation later on. But that's still a good risk ratio trade to take, relatively non-risky. Of course, nickel trading is always a little bit tricky. It's moving a lot. Volatility can be huge, but it's quite or relatively predictable sometimes, most of the time I'd say. So that would be the target here. Continuation of the move down would be an actual resolution of that wedge or channel, and a break lower that could trigger something much bigger, but then for that we will need something to happen on the stock market or something bigger in terms of the economy. Similar to this on copper, that one is obviously more related to the stock market and how the economy is doing, very closely related, but we're having also here some divergence building up on that move. On the 4 hours, we left the gap open as well at 270, which is major support from now. So I believe at least we're going to drop down to that level from here, but potentially go back down and reach the 264. That's also the 4 hours 200 MA running somewhere there. Should we not see any catastrophic news in terms of the economy, potentially we will bounce from here and continue the uptrend. Otherwise we have potential to move much lower. I think the daily chart would be pointing eventually to the 250 figure or slightly above, looking at the 50 MA running there together here. So we could have some support at 255 to between 250 to 55, but that will depend of course on the momentum we're gonna get here. So for now we are really close to get that stop here, which is actually flat, but looking at the difference we had between 267 and 280, that could potentially be a major drop from here, especially now we are running on that trend line as well. So yeah, also holding short on copper from that level, exiting should we actually break higher than 290, 293, as it would actually point to continuation of that move without any pullback. And finally looking at cocoa, so we had a major break of that key level at 2,200 that did actually hold for quite a long time, and now we are on another support at 2100. I don't believe that support will hold. Looking at the momentum, it's very powerful. We have no sign of divergence. Even the last peak was very powerful and dropped almost at 21. So of course the 20 MA on the hourly will probably cap the price, or bounce back to 2028 or something like this is possible, but then very likely to see continuation of the move down, and the test of the 2000 level will be critical. It's been within that range for a very long time. I believe the last time, yeah, it was or 2 years ago, that did that range between 2000 and pretty much 3000 did actually get in. So I believe if we can get some proper buying signal here, we could have a potential nice move, at least to retract or move back up to 2500 and retest of the 200 MA, potentially even higher, but that of course will take a lot to get there from here. A lot of negative sentiment about cocoa at the moment. Also very interesting on the daily, I'll be looking on the RSI. Should we stop here, we're gonna get the oversold level at 26 somewhere. I will set a very nice divergence here also, and that would be to me a clear buy signal. Of course the stop loss will have to be not too far away, because the next stop is 1800, and definitely don't want to get caught in this. But yeah, at that point I think short entry is probably too risky. Take profit on 2000 or slightly above, just to avoid pullback. Seems like a good idea, and long entry could potentially be okay on 2000, but look at this probably over the weekend if we got the right signal, or early next week for early next week buy. So yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please make any comments you may have. Always interesting to hear any other opinions, and sometimes learn things, and get that in perspective, and sometimes even challenge the plan. That's the purpose of these videos for me. So yeah, I'll see you around. Speak to you soon. Safe trade, and yeah, see you over the weekend. Cheers, bye.